Hey everybody! Welcome to Indian Story Read Along. Today's story is called A True Disciple. This is from a set of storybooks that have pictures in them, illustrated storybooks that my in-laws gave to me from when they went to India. They found these books and they brought them back for it because they know that I like to read stories for you guys. So today's story is called A True Disciple. So a lot of these stories have morals in them. That means there is a lesson at the end of every story. And they take place in ancient times when there was rishis, kings, demons, ashuras, and ministers and village people and that kind of thing. So this takes place back in the days when, as you see here, there was no formal school. It's not the school that you guys go to in a building. There were rishis and sages, and they took on students who lived with them from the ages of, I believe, maybe 5 years old all the way to like 19 or 21 or something like that. So it was like kindergarten all the way to university, through university. And they learned the Vedas back then. They learned mantras and chanting and how to develop yogic powers, ancient things. They didn't learn, you know, how to make a race car out of toilet paper rolls and whatever my kids are learning. They didn't learn those things. It was ancient knowledge that was only used toward that time. It was not anything that you would learn now. So these guys grew up to be teachers themselves. Sometimes they would be advisors to kings. Sometimes they would be rishis themselves, but they were the only ones in the society who had any kind of knowledge to teach others. And they would always be the ones who were also literate, so they could read and write, whereas many people may not have been able to do that. So this story is called A True Disciple. Back in that system, everyone had maximum faith in their guru. And their guru was somebody who had yogic powers. They could save them from anything. And if there was a reason, if there was something that they were telling them to do that was dangerous, there was always a good reason behind it. So you will see that in this story, A True Disciple. Samarth Ramdas was the guru of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Ramdas had many disciples. Ambadas was also one of them. He would gladly do what his teacher asked him to do. He was always very eager to serve his teacher. The other disciples considered Ambadas to be a fool, and they made fun of him. But Ambadas was not bothered. He was engrossed in the service of his teacher. One day, Ramdas was going out somewhere with his disciples. On their way, they came across a well. There was a huge neem tree near the well. One of the branches of the tree hung exactly over the well. Ramdas and his disciples decided to take some rest, so they sat down under the neem tree. After some time, Ramdas said to his disciples, this is going to be a learning moment right here. He said to his disciples, "Who will chop off that branch hanging over the well?" I'll show you which branch it is. So he points over there and he goes, "Who will chop off that branch hanging over the well?" And these guys are all sweating buckets, literally. You see all the sweat is coming off of them, except for one, this guy over here, who is Ambadas. The rest of them are like, "Oh man, he might ask me, I don't want to do it. This guy is unbothered. Why is that? Ramdas looked at one of his disciples. Giving him a saw, he said, "Climb the tree and chop the branch off from the trunk with this saw." The disciple said, "But Guruji, I do not know how to climb a tree." Ramdas then asked another disciple to chop off the branch. The disciple said, "I do not know how to use a saw, but I can chop the branch with an axe." You know what they're actually doing, you guys? It's not that they don't know how to climb a tree or how to use a saw. They don't want to do it because they know that if they do what he is asking in the exact way that he is asking it, they'll fall into the well. And they don't trust that their guru is going to protect them. Ramdas asked yet another disciple to do the job. The disciple said, well, if I chop the branch off from the trunk, I'll fall into the well. At least this guy was honest. Thus, not a single disciple was ready to cut the branch of the neem tree. They were afraid that they might get hurt or might lose their lives. At last, Ramdas called Ambadas and said, will you chop off the branch? Without a moment's hesitation, Ambadas took the saw and climbed the tree. As asked by Ramdas, he began to chop the branch off from the trunk. All the other disciples laughed at his folly. They all thought that he was stupid because they don't recognize faith because they don't have any faith, not even in their guru. But Ambadas ignored them and continued to chop off the branch. As soon as the branch was chopped off from the trunk of the tree, it fell into the well along with Ambadas, as expected. Now the disciples were frightened, but Ramdas was unperturbed. He said, there is no need to worry about Ambadas. He is safe and sound. He has faith in me and no harm will come to him. He's kind of taking a dig at all the other guys. After some time, Ambadas climbed out of the well. He bowed to Ramdas and said, Guruji, do not worry. I'm safe. I'm not hurt. Ramdas told his disciples, do you see this young man? All of you think that he is a fool and you make fun of him, but he has so much faith in the words of his teacher. The disciples were ashamed of themselves and realized their mistake. Now, you don't need to have this kind of faith in every teacher. It all depends on the character. But this guru had never let them down. And not only that, but if my teachers in school or if my soccer coach or whoever had like yogic powers and they were just like, do this, I promise, I'm going to take care of it, I would do it. So it's a different thing that we are talking about here. This is spiritual faith, and that's what he is asking these other guys to have because they're in the habit and they're in the practice of learning spirituality. It doesn't make sense if you don't actually believe the thing that you are learning about. So that was this story, and it was called A True Disciple. If you want more stories like this, please join us again on Indian Story Read Along, and please consider subscribing to this channel. We'll see you next time.